As we noted in the previous segment, with Russia's brutality on full display in Ukraine, many of America's allies in Eastern Europe are worried they could be next. In a recent congressional hearing, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley, told lawmakers the U.S. should consider sending more troops and establishing new bases in Europe to deter Putin from further aggression. Take a look.
My advice would be to create permanent bases, but don't permanently station. So you get the effect of permanence by rotational forces cycling through permanent bases. And what you don't have to do is incur the cost of family moves, PXs, schools, housing, and that sort of thing. So you cycle through expeditionary forces through forward deployed permanent bases. And I believe that a lot of our European allies, especially those such as in the Baltics or Poland or Romania or elsewhere, they are very, very willing to establish permanent bases. They'll build them, they'll pay for them, et cetera.
Sending more of America's sons and daughters to Europe in a military capacity. What do we think about this? Joining me to answer that question is former CIA operations officer and host of the newly launched The President's Daily Brief, the PDB podcast, Brian Dean Wright, Mr. BDW. Brian, great to have you, sir.
Very good day to you.
So, let's start with this one. You're hearing there, Mark Milley. We'll leave aside Mark Milley's fealty to the pronoun-announcing, blue-haired, left-wing, gender warrior crowd in the general American context, right? I mean, he's a guy that seems to pander to the left, specifically on the military situation here as it's projected in Europe. What are your thoughts when you hear him saying, yeah, let's build some permanent bases, additional permanent bases in Europe and send more U.S. military personnel to staff them?
All right, a couple of things. One, there's already over 100,000 troops in the European continent, so let's just start there. We already have a very big footprint. Second, you'll have to forgive me if I'm a little bit suspicious of people in the Pentagon right now. That guy that we just heard talking about how he needs more, had a lot and then some in Afghanistan, 20 years, and he lost that war. So do the people down at the White House right now organizing this new effort in Europe. So I'm a little bit suspicious of the people who say we need to do all these great big things in Europe after they just lost the last big thing. So that's where I start, right? The second piece is, look, it may be that our European friends build the bases, but to your point, we're sending the people. It's our sons and daughters. But we're also hooking ourselves up to a multi-year, billion-dollar each year effort to fund all of this. So it's still going to be expensive, right? Obviously, and we're hooking ourselves into that for many years, if not decades to come. When you put these bases in, you don't just rip them out the next year. So let's be also very clear about our long-term commitment that we are signing up for, or our elites are signing us up for. But the other piece that I talked about in the podcast, I know you are aware of, this country was founded by a man, or multiple folks, but one in particular, George Washington, who said very clearly, especially on the European issue, look, they have a very a complicated set of internal dynamics. Let's be very careful about setting up permanent alliances. We don't want to do it. Make sure that we base our foreign policy on an issue or a foundation of neutrality. That's what I think that we're forgetting in this conversation. When we're signing up for this stuff, it's to really put our sons and daughters in harm's way. And I don't know that that's the best way that certainly our founders would want us to handle this issue. I don't think so. And I think you probably share that to some degree as well. We've been burned, certainly the last 20 years. I don't want to be burned again.
Don't miss American Scandal, Hunter Biden. A new First TV exclusive special hosted by Buck Sexton. Available right now only on the First TV app.